Hello, hello. Welcome to Alicia. Let's talk about it. So, have you ever said yes when you really meant no? I think we all have. And some of us who are really deep uh, in feelings and love, we have a hard time saying no. And unfortunately, it can put us in a place where we're at a disadvantage, and it can stunt our growth in life and in faith and other things. And so, whether it's a family member or a friend or an acquaintance or work, if you have said yes when you meant no, let's talk about it. The first thing I'm going to tell you, I've done some research today, is my disclaimer. This is my thoughts, my opinion, and I'm not perfect, and that's why I'm here, because of the things I've been through. So I just speak from experience. So this is for people who have a hard time saying no, and for people who can say no but need to help their loved ones who cannot say no. So I'm going to give you some tips, a few things that you can do to make the word no your best friend, because it's so important not to say yes in life sometimes. And I've done it so many times. And to be honest, it's brought me where I am now. But in Romans 8:28, all things work together for good to those who love God and are called according to his purpose. And that is true. But there are times when God requires us to say no so that he can bless us, so that he can move us into the right path. So the first one is John 10:10. And this says, "The thief comes only to steal, kill, and destroy. And I came so that they would have life and have it abundantly." And so what I think about that is that there's family members who will ask you, or friends, or whoever it is, they'll ask you to do things for them that's putting you out, that's taking away from your resources, from your finances, from your time. Your time, your finances, or are the same. They're practically the same, because if your resources, your time, those are valuable things, and you have to hang on to them. You have to cherish them, because I don't know if you've noticed, the days are going by so fast. I mean, you wake up in the morning, by the time you know it, it's past lunchtime, and then it's time to go to bed. So the days are going by quick. So if you give of your time to somebody when they ask you, your whole day is gone. You're pulled away from something that God may want you to do instead. So if you're having feelings of guilt, feelings of fear, feelings of rejection, these are things that are not healthy. They're not healthy at all. And so I've got some other information here. So the scripture that I've found of John 10:10, I have more. So it says, "The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the strength of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid?" And that's Psalm 27:1. So who should you fear? If you say no, are you both still going to be alive? Yes. Is everything still going to be in place? Yes. It is not the end of the world to say no. taught my kids, no is your best friend. Them navigating through high school, through peer pressure, I constantly told them, no is your best friend. You have to tell people no, because, and don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to say no, and just wait. Say no, and then just wait. Watch the reaction. And then you just go step by step. First say no, wait for the reaction, and let God help you to give them another answer. So on that, I've had people ask me, okay, for example, in my intro video, I talked about my career. I've been a hairstylist for 28 years. And just like an auto mechanic, they probably work on cars 7 days a week because they're a professional, and everybody needs something done with their car at one point or another. And you got so many family members and friends, and they got things going on. So just like that, me cutting hair, everybody needs a haircut. I worked so many hours, and then I would have people say, hey, can you come over to my house and cut my hair? And I would be so tired, and I would feel so guilty, and I would go do it. And that was to my disadvantage, because when I had to go to work the next day, that 3 hours I spent with them visiting, cutting their hair, and then they pop in another person, hey, can you also cut my kids' hair? And my whole evening's gone, didn't get to cook supper, didn't get to relax and take care of myself, because I'm doing something for somebody else on my precious time that I needed to recover. That's one thing. The next thing is, when I worked in the salon, I was a manager. I no longer work in a salon. I still cut hair, and I'm not going to say I'm never going to go back, but I'm taking a break because I was a manager, got promoted to area manager, which I didn't fulfill because I bottomed out. I was working up to 54 hours a week, covering everybody who called in, and it took a toll on me because I was not only working that many hours, I was also answering calls, going in on my days off, and covering people, and I wasn't saying no. And in that position, most of the time you can't say no. So I was devastated when I had to leave because I planned on making a career out of that, but God had other plans for me, plans that I had no idea was going to bless me so much. Never say never. So when I left, I had got to the place where I burned out so badly that I could barely function. I had to leave work one day because I had worked 10 days straight, standing on my feet 10 hours a day, cutting hair, doing hair, that I had to call in, and I stayed in bed for 19 hours. And my body was hurting so badly. My heart was hurt. My mind was foggy, and I couldn't take care of my responsibilities at home. My house was suffering because I couldn't wash my dishes. I could barely keep my clothes washed. And that is an example of saying yes when I should have said no. And you can't be afraid to tell your employer no, because it is for your benefit to have that downtime, to have that time where you can actually breathe and take care of yourself and forget about work. And so this is not only just about friends and family members asking you to do stuff, borrow money, babysit their kids, take them somewhere, buy them something. You know, it's not just about that. It's the whole scope. It's the whole thing of life, and saying no in so many different areas. So after that, I knew someone who was a bus driver. And I said, man, I would never drive a bus with those wild kids and all that bacteria. I mean, I could just imagine all the germs and the screaming and the disciplinary stuff. You know, I was like, oh no. No, I could never drive a bus. Never. But, and it kind of gets me emotional when I think about it, because I drove by a school and I saw an advertisement of a bus after I quit this job, or right before I quit my management position. I saw the bus with the advertisement, and I was like, oh, I said I would never do that. And God just gave me peace, and I did it. I applied for it, and I got it. And I still was in disbelief. And of course, did not pay like my management job paid. And you know, another tip, money is not the most important thing. It is your health, your well-being, your state of mind. And if you're not healthy and you're not rested, you can't take care of your family. You can't take care of your responsibility. And so if you have a high-paying job and you're burning yourself out, burning the candle at both ends, and you're not taking care of things, what good is it to have all that money? That's where you have to say, God, bring me to a place where I can still have good finances, but be at rest and at peace. So let me get back to what I was saying. I got the job, and I started out training, being a bus monitor, because I was in training because I needed to get my CDL, which was a whole new thing for me. I never thought I would get a CDL. I'm a hairstylist. So I went through it. I studied hard. And because of the stress, I mean, maybe I'll talk about it more in another video about this job and what it actually did to me, because there's a lot more to it. There's a lot more things that happened while I was managing that really was destroying me. I'll talk about that later. But right now we're talking about saying no. So in saying no to the management job, I said yes to being a bus driver, which was the biggest blessing. Well, the first thing I applied for was a substitute position, and I did get that. And that was just to keep me busy, because I knew that I was going to quit the management job. And I got hired for that. And then right away, I drove by that bus and saw the advertisement and applied, and I got it. So then I was a bus monitor, 2 hours in the early morning, 2 hours in the afternoon. I would ride the bus and help and, you know, talk to the kids and just manage them. And then in between, I would go and substitute at the high school. And so it caused me to have a whole new perspective on many different things, on children, and how they're just starting out their life and they're trying to make it. And I was making a difference. I would see little things with the children, like, oh my goodness, you know, the heartbreak that some of them have, or just the discipline area. You know, the way you speak to a child will impact them for the rest of their life. And I was learning this, like, what kind of difference can I make in this child's life to where they will remember the good thing that the good seed that I planted in them. good citizenship, treating people with respect. And there's a lot on that too. And the kids are, it's amazing. I mean, these little human beings, they're so small and just so precious. So I went from working with older adults, all adults, to children and teenagers. So it was an amazing change. So let me give you my tips. I'm going to go ahead and end here. So I'll be back. So the word no is your best friend. Test it out. Trust God. Pray about it. And if you say no to someone, nothing bad's going to happen. So stand your ground, and then you'll see the freedom. So I just encourage you today to do that. And I will be back with another video. This will probably be part 1. Thank you for watching.